In this video, I'm going to break down at a high level where I think high-ticket dropshipping currently is in 2025 and where I think it's going in 2026 and beyond. And before I get into it, I just want to say welcome back. I know it's been a while. I know it's been many months since I posted, so apologies for the unexpected hiatus. Earlier this year, I started an extension of my business, ecommerce, where historically, it's been an online course for high ticket dropshipping based on my own experience, based on my own stores that I've had success with. And I've had many successful students as a result of the course. But earlier this year, I started offering a service where I literally build your store from beginning to going live, kind of a DFY service. So from choosing your niche for you, to building your store, to getting your suppliers for you, uploading all their products, and going live on Google. It quickly became the biggest thing that I have ever done as an entrepreneur. This was both good and bad. It was obviously really good because it keeps my chops sharp. It keeps me up to speed as far as what niches are working the best, as far as what Google Merchant Center compliance is looking like, and that's kind of a topic in and of itself. But something that I'm very proud of is that 100% of all clients that have used this service and have gone live have gotten a sale within the first 2 weeks. That is something I can't guarantee. It's just something that I have observed at this point. So if you're interested in using this service, as I'm recording this video, I am doing kind of a limited time deal where I'm going to do a pretty heavy discount for the first 10 people to sign up. I haven't really been taking on more clients as of late just because I've been finishing up the clients that have signed up and done this over the past few months. So if you're interested in that, click the link below. In that link below, you'll also find the online course. Quick note on the online course, and I promise I will get to the subject matter here. Yes, the online course still exists. Yes, the online community still exists. It is still available for anybody, but my mentorship is going away. I simply don't have the hours in the day to offer mentorship to everybody that wants it at this point. 99% of my time is dedicated to my done-for-you high-ticket store clients. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email, WhatsApp me, etc. But without further ado, let's talk about where high-ticket dropshipping is today. So my rhetoric, if you've followed my channel for a while, hasn't really changed on how valuable of a business model I think high-ticket dropshipping is. But like any business model, there are good ways to do it and there are less good ways to do it. And then there are, frankly, just bad ways to do it. I won't get into all of the bad niches that you can choose. You've heard me talk about saunas and greenhouses on here ad nauseum. But I will say the method that I teach in my course and the method that I use for choosing niches for my own clients seems to work pretty damn well when it comes to looking at keyword data, and when it comes to looking at a need-based perspective as far as the clients that you're serving and the type of niche that it fills. I apologize if you hear any background noise. I've got the baby monitor, and my baby is almost 9 months old. She's a bit of a noisy sleeper sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. So, does high-ticket dropshipping still work? I think is maybe the question that a lot of people are wondering. And the answer is obviously yes. It's working for my clients. It's working for me. And really the most important thing is choosing a good niche, getting good suppliers, and having a good website. If you do those things, those three things really well, and Google Ads on top of it, or at least relatively well altogether, you're going to have success in high-ticket dropshipping. Now, there are obviously challenges that are new and that continue to emerge over time. I think one of the most prevalent ones is Google Merchant Center. The way I have always done high-ticket dropshipping, the way that I set it up for my clients, is relying pretty heavily on Google, at least on the front end, at least when you're kind of getting your business launched, getting started, because your SEO just isn't developed yet. It hasn't had the time. So a really good way to get cash flow pretty much immediately, i.e., getting a sale within the first 2 weeks. 100% of my clients that have gone live, I promise I'll stop plugging that. Um, it's a really quick way to get cash flow because essentially you get traffic right on the front end. So if you can afford Google Ads, if you are willing to spend a bit of money, it is absolutely worth the effort. Now, I started this business model coming up on 6 years ago. Um, and when I first got started, Google Merchant Center compliance was almost non-existent. Um, and really, it wasn't anything that I even remotely paid attention to. So at the time, I got kind of lucky because my biggest store ever just happened to be like grandfathered into an already approved Google Merchant Center account. Um, and it did a ton of business without really ever having to deal with the most common problem, which is suspension for misrepresentation. Now, I don't want to get too far into the weeds with this because if you're new to high ticket dropshipping, if you haven't gotten to this point with Google Merchant Center, you may not know what I'm talking about. But if you watch a lot of YouTube, if you watch a lot of e-commerce podcasts or YouTube channels, there's a chance you've probably heard of the problems with Google Merchant Center, specifically getting your account suspended for misrepresentation. And when I say that, that's literally the reason that Google gives you. And in my experience with my own clients, every single one of them has been hit with a misrepresentation when their account first kind of gets set up. So the way it typically goes is you set up your Shopify store, you have all your suppliers, you get all your policies set up, which again, I do all this for you. And then you connect it to Google Merchant Center, and it's been taking a while lately, but it'll take several days to up to a couple of weeks to get your product feed, your product data feed approved in Google Merchant Center. Once that happens, then you connect your product feed to your Google Ads account, which at this point you have already also set up. And sometimes it'll let you run ads for like a day and then all of a sudden it'll shut off, or it won't let you run ads at all. And it'll send you a notification via email saying your account has been suspended for misrepresentation. Now, luckily for me, the majority of cases, I really didn't have to change anything on the website. I just kind of like went through. It does ask for an identification verification, so that is something that you have to be aware of. You need to be able to provide a US ID if you are advertising in the United States. And this is something that I can help out with if you're outside of the United States, but my power is ultimately kind of limited when it comes to that type of situation, and you have to use a virtual address. But again, that's a conversation you and I can have one-on-one if you reach out to me and ask questions. But so as long as you can verify your identification and show, like, they'll ask for a business document like your EIN confirmation letter from the IRS. As long as you can provide those two things, I've seen 90 to 95% of Merchant Center accounts get cleared within just a few hours. Unfortunately, I've had some where it kind of suspends it over and over again. And the problem is with misrepresentation, you only get so many times. You have a finite amount. It is 3 times that you get to ask them to re-review it. And once that third happens and they say, no, your account is still, there's something still wrong with it, then they'll basically suspend you forever. And then it becomes a hell of a lot harder at that point to try and advertise on Google. But again, that's kind of a separate conversation. So what does this all mean? Ultimately, Google is trying to really, really, really crack down on fraud and scams, and they're not going to outright say it, but drop shippers too. It's not against their policies to drop ship, to run a business drop shipping. They just face drop shippers with a lot more scrutiny at the end of the day. And so what that comes down to is you have to have very clearly stated policies and pretty specific wording on your website with pretty specific parameters, a lot of specific key points, and on top of that, consistent business information across the website, et cetera, et cetera. All this to say, it can be done, but Google has made it a lot harder than they used to. So I didn't think I would spend that much time talking about Google Merchant Center, but it is very top of mind if you want to do this business model. Part of me almost sees this as a positive thing. High ticket dropshipping has always been inherently a lot lower competition than other business models, such as like Amazon FBA, or low ticket dropshipping. But there's just this added layer of complicated steps, and it's going to weed out a lot more people, which once you get through those steps, you have a lot less competition on the other side. As far as what's driving business, again, the most important thing in this business model is your niche. I don't think it's an absolute rule that you have to have a need-based niche. When I say need-based, I mean something like a product that it exists to serve a purpose. That's too broad. It exists to perform a job for someone. It's not there for fun. It's not there for leisure or discretionary spending. It exists to perform a job. Like I wouldn't just go out and buy a shovel for fun, just for the sake of having a shovel. I have a shovel in my garage to shovel snow in the wintertime. So you guys get what I'm saying. I use that principle consistently across all my own businesses and across my clients' businesses, simply because the shoppers that you're dealing with are a lot different from someone that's shopping for something expensive just for the sake of it because they can afford it. And again, I've listed bad niches ad nauseum, like golf simulators, saunas, et cetera, et cetera. So they're not really caring about how much, what it looks like. They kind of just care about how much it costs. Does it fit their budget? Is it the brand maybe that they're looking for? Does it fit the specs? And if all those boxes are checked, or at least most of them are, then they'll buy it. There's not really a lot of selling that goes into it. The conversation is a lot more straightforward and objective. And for that reason, that is why I've always gravitated towards need-based products. And then as far as actually choosing a niche within that frame of reference, choosing a need-based product, because it's easier said than done. It comes down to using the keyword data and using the strategy that I don't think is necessarily perfect, but I've kind of honed in on over the years, and I think it's about as perfect of a strategy as there is. So if you're interested in how I do it for my clients, again, I would say check out the link in the description below. If you have questions, reach out to me. I'll close this video with this. I'm going to have a lot more coming out. I'll be more on a regular posting schedule going forward. High ticket dropshipping remains one of the most accessible yet most challenging and high barrier of entry business models on the internet. And that might sound almost like a contradicting statement. And what I mean by that is it has a high barrier of entry, meaning it's really, really hard to do. It's hard to get really quality suppliers if you don't have a lot of experience. I'll make a whole video about what the current state of getting suppliers is like, just because it's harder than it used to be in some industries. That's something that a lot of people struggle with. And if you're only getting suppliers that all other dropshippers have access to, and you don't maybe have the phone communication skills required to get a supplier that nobody has, or the very few online sellers have on the internet, it's just another layer of kind of an uphill battle to have success in this business model. Not that you can't that way, but I think having really quality suppliers that sometimes require a bit of not selling, but convincing over the phone, it just puts you in a much better situation. And is that plus the Google Merchant Center complications, the discipline that you need to have when you are setting up your website with consistent information, all of the business credentials from your EIN to your Dun and Bradstreet or your DUNS number to your sales tax ID, all of your credentials. You need to have a lot of ducks in a row, and you need to have your website very, very buttoned up, reflecting all of this accurately. All of this leads to a high barrier of entry. But the reason it's so accessible for everybody is because it requires so little capital up front. Um, it really, your biggest expense ongoing forever with this thing, minus your cost of goods sold to your suppliers, will be your Google ads. And eventually the goal is to have your SEO overtake your Google ads, or at least supplement it to where you don't have to spend as much money on your advertising. Um, so it remains one of the most untouched and one of the most accessible business models to everybody. But at the end of the day, it is very challenging, and it is certainly not passive income. But if you're someone that is looking to start something online and you don't know exactly what direction to go, it is a very intuitive business model, and that's what has always drawn me to it. That's why I think it's so repeatable. There's really infinitely many niches and industries that you can do this in. It's a matter of doing the research and doing the hard work, and going through the steps to get there. And it's not going to be perfect for anybody. So I will end that there. If you haven't already, subscribed to the channel. This channel is all things high ticket dropshipping. And like I said, I'll get back into a more regular routine of posting. I'm hoping to at least put out a couple of videos per week for you guys. Let me know in the comments what it is you want me to talk about. And here's to a great last couple of months in 2025 and going into 2026, which is really hard to believe. All right, guys, until next time.